Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. Good Health by Claudia, podcast with me, Denny Schaffer, a production of Denny Radio. It's episode 60. Almost as in many episodes as I am old. 60. Anyway, so nice to see you once again. So nice to see you once again.
Yes, good
and
to be here.
Welcome to the Denny Radio studios.
Yeah, I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The roof isn't hitting your head, and it's really. And I love that there's no microphone or there's no headphones.
Yeah, that was.
I love them.
Yeah, the
They
struggle.
were always flying around, and
I couldn't keep them on her head straight. I'd have to adjust them while we're on, and the mic is way over here, and so now you can move around, and the mic's.
I do move when I talk.
Yeah, you do. You bust a move. Anyway, thank you to everybody who shared last week's podcast. Thank you to everybody who commented. Same thing this week. Share the podcast. Put your comments, in the comment section, and any questions or anything you have for Claudia or our guest, and somebody will respond at another point. But again, thank you. People sharing. Yes. People are excited that we're back and we're doing.
And we're grateful.
Oh, we are.
We're very grateful.
This is just so fun. I mean, I missed it so, and it's gotten me thinking more about, my health and what I'm putting in my body and which supplements, are best for me. And I'm just excited about our next guest because, it's our first guest of season 3, by the way, even though it is episode 60, it is season 3. I think we've had her on more than anybody.
I think Brenda's been on twice now, and this will be the third time.
Yeah, this will be a third time.
If I got that count right.
Yeah, I believe you do.
Yeah.
And I personally take her products, and before I bring her on, I had total knee replacement back in February 13th. Okay, bone on bone, all of that. Little nervous about the surgery, but it went well. After 7 weeks, just 7 weeks, I got the green light to start playing golf again. So I'm playing golf. Yeah, it's awesome. And my scar looks fantastic. If you want, I can show you. Okay, maybe not. Anyway, and so one of the things, and I don't want to be graphic or, gross anybody out, depending on if you're having lunch or a snack or whatever. But one of the things when you have surgery is the pain medication that they give you.
Right.
That they put you under, the anesthesia, they knock you out. And let's just say you have trouble pooing. You get constipated. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for Vitalax from Vital Planet.
Well,
I'm telling you, I've been using this product for years. It is amazing.
Yeah.
And I just had a friend of mine who had to have surgery. And I said, listen, and it was total knee replacement. I said, order this stuff right now or go to Claudia. Well, he's not from here. I said, order them because I would have just had him go see you.
Right.
I said, get these or do you have a mom and pop store, health foods? And he didn't because he lives away. And so we ordered them. And then he called me like a week later and he thanked me because that is one product that is just amazing. And all Vital Planet. I mean, that's not the only one I'm on. I'm on like 3 or 4 different ones, but I can tell you that's my testimony, people.
Yeah. It's an amazing line, and the visionary is an amazing woman. So.
And there she is.
There she is.
She's talking. We had her in the green room. She's talking and she didn't even realize. Now she's here. Ladies and gentlemen, the owner and visionary of Vital Planet is Brenda Watson. Brenda, welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you, both of you. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm happy about the subject we're going to be talking about today.
Yep, today is good flora for good health, pre and postbiotics.
Yep.
Right.
So, in gearing up to knowing we were going to be starting the podcast again, I've been thinking about who is going to be the first guest. Who should that be? And of course, you came first in mind, top of the list. When I think of new beginnings and it's spring, fresh energy, beautiful growth of things, I think of probiotics. And when I think of probiotics, I think of you, Brenda, because God bless you. You've been doing, educating on probiotics for how many years now?
30 something.
Yeah, you were definitely a leader in all this. And we're very grateful because the products that you were making and the knowledge that you have about the importance of flora is tremendous. We talk about flora every day to every customer. Everybody needs probiotics. And of course, we love your line. And so so we're going to talk about, I want to, we always keep it simple so everybody understands what we're talking about.
Right.
But I want to talk about, so lots of people have heard about probiotics. Now
Right.
we have Now they're coming out with post.
Right.
A lot of people are very confused. They're very overwhelmed. So why don't we start with that, Brenda? How about a simple explanation of all that?
Right. So simply, the prebiotic is fiber. Basically, it's a form of fiber that probiotics eat to multiply. So how that works is in your natural diet, the way we have good bugs in our gut is because when we eat food that has fiber in it, the bugs that are residing in our gut is eating that and multiplying. That's what we want. We want more of the good bugs. So the food for the probiotic is now called a prebiotic, which is really fiber. Okay, that's really important to understand. So when the probiotic eats the prebiotic, they multiply and grow and life is good.
Yes.
The other piece of this is the postbiotic, because the postbiotic, I call them another name, which is more technical, short chain fatty acids, which I've known for 30 years was the byproduct, or when the probiotic eats a prebiotic, they make a postbiotic. Why are they important? They are the reason that the probiotics have health benefits. They make vitamins B and K. They are the vitamins B and K.
Yes.
They are the butyrate that the colon cells use to make new cells. They are what helps our immunity. So the probiotic eats a prebiotic and makes a postbiotic. The postbiotic is the health benefit. Do you see what I mean? Of the interaction between the pre and the pro, the interaction. So the postbiotic, and what most people think of with probiotics is immunity. I think mostly they'll hit immunity in the understanding of a person out there. However, now we know the gut-brain connection. We know that, it's tied to our emotions. We know it's tied to not only immunity, but inflammation, anything in your body, whether it's a skin issue, a joint issue, an emotional issue, all of that is regulated by the good bacteria called probiotics. We now know that because science has evolved and shown us now about how they studied each of these probiotics and the benefits that they have to overall health.
And research is really coming out fast and furious over the last, 30 some years, maybe, about flora. Because we talked about first time you were on, when I started in the industry 50 years ago, there was basically acidophilus, which was for small bowel, and there was bifido, which was large.
Yeah.
We didn't have all these other strains identified.
No.
But the research that's been done to identify these strains is quite phenomenal. And I think one of the things you said, because I remind customers every day, the flora is regulating everything that's important, right?
Yeah.
It's regulating the brain. It's regulating the immune system. It's regulating, or maybe not regulating, but definitely supporting how those systems work. The endocrine system, it all is intimately connected through the flora. And I always remind people, when the flora is when bacteria is talking to the brain, you want the good guys talking to the brain, not the bad guys.
Exactly.
It's a serious problem, right? There's billions of people walking around with too much of the bad stuff, the fungus and all that nonsense.
Right.
So the probiotics are so important to really making our inner world happy and balanced and functioning in an effective way.
Yeah, and our bacteria, we carry around 3 to 4 pounds of it at any given time. We want most of that bacteria to be good guys. And what we've learned from science, and like you, I in the 90s, we had probiotics, but we didn't call them probiotics. We called them other names, bifido and acidophilus.
Right.
However, when science got involved, when the National Institutes of Health funded the microbiome project for the universities to begin to study probiotics about 2004, that's when that happened. And that's when we took this giant leap, in science to support what we knew We knew these things, but
Right.
we didn't have the detail on it that we have. And so with Vital Planet and me, I like to follow because, you know, in the original days, Claudia, we would do high potency. We would do, you know, we knew that fiber fed the good bugs like the prebiotics. We knew those things, but we didn't know the detail on it. We didn't know that we needed 60, 70 billion in potency to make a difference in 4 pounds of bacteria. Of course, we've got that much. We did not know that we would be able to identify specific health issues back then. You know what I mean? We just didn't know all that. And so I rode the wave, and you rode the wave of science, being able to communicate to consumers, hey, your gut is the core of your being. And your good bacteria are alive in you. And I'd like to say this, like, it's like it has a consciousness, so to speak, that interacts with your genetics. And what changed it tremendously with science was they're able to DNA type the bugs. So when that genetic testing started, or information came out, then, you know, we now know that when the bugs go inside of us, we have a specific genetic makeup. The bugs have a genetic makeup, so they interact with our genes and give us the health benefits individually from what we need.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the way it works.
You know, this conversation that you just brought up is a whole nother podcast of how when when a mom passes that flora through the breast milk, how there's a genetic imprint there, correct?
Right.
It's very personal within that genetic culture.
Right.
And that's a very interesting conversation. But again, that's a conversation for another podcast. But it really is fascinating, everything they're finding. So I just want to say this, and we're going to show a couple of your products. And I think I said this the first time we talked. When prebiotics first came on the market, and I said to the team, we're not bringing in those things. It's just more products that all these companies want us to sell. But the more I learned about it, and from you especially, it hit me. Of course, it's the fiber that feeds the good guys. And this culture lacks fiber because everybody's eating junk.
Yeah.
And the junk is stripped of the fiber. So that's when it all made sense to me. In this culture, we need to kickstart the flora. And the prebiotic is that kickstart, right?
Right, exactly. And what we're going to see, I'm doing a study right now, another podcast, but I've got 12 people on a weight loss program starting the 10th of May, and I'm testing their stool testing, and GLP-1
Yes.
and how to reduce appetite. Fiber is going to be the new superstar. That's my prediction within the next couple of years. Fiber is going to come up, you know, because now we hear protein everywhere. And I'm not dissing that. That's fine. But what we're going to see as more research comes out, fiber is going to be our best friend, and getting people away from the fact that fiber means you go to the bathroom more. I mean, that's what people think.
Well, because it's been connected to, you know, psyllium, Metamucil from West, you know, that's what docs taught people. Take your Metamucil, and you know, I'm a fan of the food fibers.
Right.
So I'm not picking on that company. I'm just not a fan of psyllium in general. Because I figure, well, if nobody ate psyllium before us as a culture, why are we eating it? So I'm a fan of the food fibers.
Yeah.
But you make some great fibers. That'll be another podcast that we do. The fiber products you are making, we get tremendous results, tremendous results with it. But let's talk about a couple of these things. You want to show this one?
Yep, this will be my job. I'll be your Vanna White. I'll hold things up on those.
Okay.
So this is a new line, Intense Care. So tell us about it.
Okay. So many of you know that go to Claudia's store know we have a product called Vital Flora, and it usually is age and gender, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's a maintenance. It's an everyday probiotic. What happens specifically is science began to study, like I said, the strains that were creating different kinds of benefits that we could put in a formula to make it work more for different conditions. And the 4 conditions, the number one is the one that Denny just throwed up there with the brain and mood, because we know that you produce serotonin and dopamine and all of these things in the gut that go to the brain,
Yes.
GABA and all the things that make us calm.
Yes.
So in these particular formulas, which we have 4, they have specific strains that are in there and that you can see have been clinically studied for that condition, anxiety, depression, and those types of conditions. Now, Denny, if you turn the box over on the side, not that one, the other side. Nope, that one. Next one. There. In that little top blue part up there, if a consumer or a customer, Claudia, is interested, those are the strains in that formula that help that condition. And there's a QR code at the bottom they can click on, and the QR code takes them to the strains. So they can look at that information individually with what we have in there. So we usually have in the Vital Flora line 60 billion cultures and 60 strains. However, in these, you see different one, like in the brain and mood, it's 65 billion and 67 strains. Again, you're seeing at Vital Planet a lot more strains than you do in other formulas, because we now know through science that the strain is where the health benefit is. That's the health benefit that they identify with strains. So you'll see in brain and mood, that's the one. So we now have 4 formulas, like the colon and constipation, the gas and bloating, and the vaginal, pH, and urinary tract. And that one, Claudia, is for women or even in men who have very chronic UTI infections. And that's what we're seeing today with women. They keep going to the doctor, getting antibiotics, coming back out, and then 3 weeks later, they got it back again. These are for chronic conditions of UTI. And having said that, it's really important for people to understand that these are specific to these conditions, and it's really good. So we've got and guess what? Because we have the strains in there for that particular condition, it acts fast. Okay. So let's say the gas and bloating. I hear people 2 or 3 days and it's already helping. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Already. So we're not looking at, most of the time we take probiotics for maintenance, or we might have a condition that you immediately get a aha moment on. But these are specific to be able, because they have the clinically studied strains, they act a lot quicker than just a general formula for prevention and for daily use.
So one of the things I love about the line you're making, they're well, I call them enteric coated. It may not be it says acid resistant on the box, but we do know, I mean, people feel these products because they have a chance to get to where they're going before they're destroyed. So I'm a fan of the delivery system. I think it's extremely important. And it's interesting. We don't have a bottle of the men's 55. Denny, that's what take.
I'm waiting for it to come in, by the way.
We're out of...
They're
waiting for a big order, so we've got...
Brenda, you need to overnight me some. I've been off for a few days.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at my shelf right now going, where?
Send it to me, Brenda.
I'll get it there. We'll get it there, Teddy.
But the reason I brought that up, I in all the years, we have sold probiotics for how many years now? That's the only formula. I've had so many men over the years tell me, I love this probiotic. You never hear a guy say that about
Never.
They feel it. And they feel it because of how you're making it and the proper delivery system, the right strains, great products. So I just want to throw that in about the men's thing. But real quick, I wanted to say something about the brain and mood. You brought this up, and this would be another great podcast. You brought up, we know that the flora is helping to produce the neurotransmitters.
Right.
And this is what a lot of people don't understand. So when you look at the American public as a whole, so many people are clinically depressed. Mm-hmm. They're moody. They're having this and that and panic attacks and mood swings. They're all over the place. And what people need to understand, I tell everybody, every time you eat sugar, you're feeding every misery that you don't want. And what you need is the good bacteria to give your body the tools it needs, especially the brain.
Yes,
This is an
especially.
amazing product, and the flora is so important. And I don't think a lot of people realize the flora is producing a lot of these, it's helping to produce a lot of these neurotransmitters.
Right, exactly.
So very important stuff.
Very important. I will say, people write in with testimonials all the time, as you know, and you have customers coming in the store. And I have had people come back now and say to me, wow, it's really helped me with my medication, the brain and mood, and it's really helping me. Now with the brain and mood, remember, you've got to get in there, and they've got to, in terms of working fast, they got those bugs got to get in there and start to work with those neurotransmitters to make sure they get signaled and transferred into the brain. So, you don't want people going off of medication for sure. We're not here to say that, but what we're here to say is, give it some time, get in that particular formula, because it's really critical if we can help people with that anxiety and depression and all the things, because the world out there is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? And you get up every day and you kind of don't know why you're anxious sometimes, but who wouldn't be, right? In so many ways, right? So, it's just helpful all around, because today's world is it's uneasy, I said, so to speak. You know what I mean? And people need help every way they can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And knowing, and they trust you, Claudia. They trust your store. They trust your staff. You've got well documented, well run company, and that's why people come in there, because they're, for example, they see stuff on the social media, on the internet. Most of the time don't go and buy that. They come in and they ask you, like, I saw this, does this work? You know what I mean?
And we're very grateful that they come in and they trust our guidance. And I just want to say, to your point, we have so many people that are coming in that there's so much information on the internet. They're overwhelmed. They don't know who to listen to, where to begin. Some people are buying stuff off the internet and they end up with 40 bottles of stuff that they have no clue what to do with. And I always tell them, listen, we keep it simple. And always, 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 my team knows, somebody comes in, first thing we guide them to, probiotics. To me, primary for beneficial health. So, So, last one we're going to show, I just wanted to grab this 100 billion activity.
Right.
So, this particular one, tell us why the high activity in that.
Well, originally, that formula was developed around COVID. And when in the, when we had COVID, and of course today we don't have COVID necessarily, we probably have some, but we have long COVID and people with, issues dealing with COVID, or the antibiotic problem.
Yes.
Where I just said it about women in a circle going through antibiotic after antibiotic. So do you realize that a 7-day antibiotic round can dysregulate your good bacteria up to 2 years? 2 years.
Wow. So I didn't realize
that. I developed this so that we had sort of the superstar, the supercharger, so to speak, to go in and say, okay, bugs, we got to get this environment switched over. We need a lot of it because, as you know, antibiotics kill everything.
Yes.
And it's very important that with these kind of people, or people maybe, that have tried other probiotics and it's not working for them, maybe they need to go back and try a super duper one for a couple of months at least. You know what I mean? Then they can go down to a maintenance like the 60 billion 60 strain. But this is what people need that are really struggling and trying to reestablish the flora in the gut. It's really important.
Yes, it's very important. Wonderful. Well,
the Gut Renew, the Vital Planet Gut Renew. You got me on that last time that we had Brenda on.
Yeah.
And I also have the fiber powder, Vital Planet fiber powder, which I've been using that ever since.
Well, the Gut Renew, you probably don't know this, but the Gut Renew has turned out to be our #1 selling product. And here's why. It's 6,000 milligrams of L-glutamine per scoop, and aloe, and some other thing, a lot of other things in it. And it's a powder, and you take it in, and you drink it on an empty stomach. And what it does is it relieves inflammation, especially if there's reflux and GERD and things like that. However, the benefit of it for the good bugs, see, your digestive lining sheds and rebuilds itself every 3 to 5 days. So think of your skin when you take a shower, but
Okay.
your gut does the same thing. Every 3 to 5 days, it sheds off all cells. How does it make new cells?
Wow.
L-glutamine. L-glutamine.
Yes.
So when you've got leaky gut, or you've got IBD, or you've got ulcerative colitis, or you've got IBS,
Yes.
the L-glutamine, because the bugs want to live somewhere. Where do they live? They live in the mucus lining of your digestive tract. If you don't, and how do you make the mucus? With L-glutamine and
Yes.
N-acetylglucosamine. So 2 ways. It helps with severe, inflammation with some of these conditions, but just in general, giving that beautiful mucus lining somewhere for the bugs to latch onto, because what we want them to do is colonize. And if they've got a home to colonize in, it's the perfect companion to a probiotic.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yep, that's great how you described all that. L-glutamine is an amino acid, just in case anybody doesn't know that. And yes, it's wonderful at helping with leaky gut and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that was a great explanation of how that all works. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So good to have you back, Brenda.
Yeah.
It really is. And we look forward to having you on.
I'm
in the
so
future.
happy you're back and you're doing the show, and I
Well,
really am.
Thank you. And we're very grateful that you're here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you look wonderful, by the way.
You have to throw it together in the morning, right?
Well, one of these days, I get to Florida, I'm going to come visit you. I'm going to make.
Are you going to Maho this year?
I'm considering it. Some of my team goes every year, but are you going?
Yeah, I'm the lead speaker.
Well, then I'm going because you're going to be there.
Thank
Why don't
you.
we,
I
why
would
don't
love
we
to
take,
see you.
take the podcast on the road? Why not Denny to go too?
Denny, that's a great
Oh,
idea.
Let's work that out.
So
Yeah.
Maho, just so everybody knows, Maho is one of our trade associations. They focus on, they're there to support independent health food stores, which we're very grateful. And I always want to remind everybody, there's a lot of places you can buy supplements nowadays. The only place you're going to get real information is from those mom and pop stores that have been doing it, living it, educating it, sharing it. That's where you're going to get your information. So support your local independents wherever you're at. And all around, I just think it's wonderful that more people are becoming aware of supplementation and, they're learning the tools of how to take care of themselves. So thank you for being a leader in that all these years. Very grateful for you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you guys too.
Thank you.
All right, Brenda. Thanks you. And we'll have you back soon.
Yep.
Okay. Have a good one.
See ya.
Love you, Brenda. Thank you.
That was awesome.
That was good.
Oh,
huh?
first guest.
Yeah.
She hits it out of the park.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Good stuff. This one of my favorite episodes,
Nice.
even though we're only 2 episodes in
Don't
since
you
we got
say that
back.
about every episode?
Yeah, I kind of do. Well, and it's great hearing about the products because I take a bunch of them,
Right.
Most of the supplements I take, are from, Vital Planet. And it's so nice because I know they work, they work for me and,
Yes.
and hopefully they'll work for other people. So stop in at Claudia's Health Foods by Claudia on Secor Road or visit her website, healthfoodbyclaudia.com.
Yes.
All right. That's it for this week.
Yeah.
And stay tuned to social media to find out what our next podcast will be about.
Yeah.
And like always, Claudia, I'm giving you the last word.
Well, thank you. Just being grateful. Just be grateful. Find something to be grateful about every day. Some of the most important things in life are the little things, the things that so many people are overlooking. So really see where your blessings are and embrace them. So thank you all for tuning in. Denny, I love you, man. And I'm very grateful to be here with you. So peace, everybody.
And share the podcast, everybody. Share the podcast.